In the name of Jesus, we are very joyful. We can study the Word of God together. So, can someone tell me the overall structure of book of 2 Corinthians? I was calling, who did I call? Yesterday, I don't remember. Christopher from Irvine. What is overall structure of 2 Corinthians?
Chapter 1, verse 1 to 2 is the greetings. And then verse 3 to 1:11 is suffering and comfort. And then 2:14 to 7 verse 4 is reasons for changing schedule on his missionary journey. And there are additional reasons why he mentioned, like he goes into detail. 8 to 9 is about offering and sacrifice, and 10 to 13 is defending himself against the complaints / accusations that the people in the Corinthian church had against him.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah. Jocelyn Shea from Irvine. So according to your homework, what is the detailed structure of offering?
I said offering by giving earnestly and then giving cheerfully.
When I say detailed structure, chapter 8, start with who is examples of who is offering.
The Macedonian church.
Yes, and then followed by why do we need to offer, right? Because Jesus make offering because for equality, because he pleased to God, and then followed by at least 4 messengers not involved with this offering. And then chapter 9, how do you divide it how do you do your homework in chapter 9? Detailed structure. Maybe we try Shay from Irvine. Chapter 9.
Oh, you want me to break down chapter 9?
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
You want me to break down chapter 9?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, so chapter 9, verses 1 to 5 is about how to prepare the offering, and verses 6 to 15 is the attitude of how to give is to offer willingly and cheerfully.
And then the last portion.
I think I missed the last portion.
Yeah, I talk about blessings and the results of offering, right? Yeah. So that's how I divide it too. The first portion is to fulfill your heart to offer. This is to Corinthian church. And then you talk about characteristics of offering. And it followed by the blessings and results of offering. Of course, everybody's division is a little bit different, but I hope you do your homework, and then you can have a better grasp of these books, right? Now, yesterday we talked about chapter 8. We talked about there are messengers involved in this offering, like even involve Paul and Titus. So this is also a missionary work. Offering is a very important issue in the church because 让神的家有粮, make the house of God has food to provide for the house of God. All the Levites, all the full-time worker, has source of income through brother and sisters' love. Or you can see, I can say duty as well. And then chapter 9, it started with they have been talking about offering for for a year, and they did not fulfill, the church did not fulfill their promise. That's why Paul tried to encourage them. You really got to finish this important work. Let's read chapter 9. Chapter 9, maybe we start with Christopher again. Chapter 9, let's read verse 2. Chapter 9, verse 2.
2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 2. For I know your willingness, about which I boast of you to the Macedonians, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal has stirred up the majority.
Yeah, you promised to offer, and everybody was touched by your love. But it has been more than 1 year, have been a year already. So Paul was trying to help them to finish this project, because Paul wanted to make sure that this good work is done, right? Otherwise, his boasting about Corinthian church will be in vain. Otherwise, it will be shameful for his boasting. Christopher, read verse 3 and 4.
3. Yet I have sent the brethren, lest our boasting of you should be in vain in this respect, that I said, you may be ready. 4. Lest if some Macedonians come with me and find you unprepared, we, not to mention you, should be ashamed of this confident boasting.
Yeah, I keep telling how good you are, and later on you still cannot fulfill your promise. It's really a shame. I think Paul was quite straightforward. A lot of time we encourage people, we are very polite, very careful. But Paul sometimes, was very straightforward. That's why people comment his letter is heavy and powerful. Yeah. And then Paul tried to make sure this missionary is done. Therefore, he sent some brethren to go to them beforehand to make sure this missionary is done. Christopher, verse 5.
Therefore I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren to go to you ahead of time and prepare your generous gift beforehand, which you had previously promised, that it may be ready as a matter of generosity and not as a grudging obligation.
Yeah, no grudging, right? This is generous. This is a very generous attitude, out of generous attitude. No complaint. Yeah. This is a concept I like to share with you concerning the timing of offering. Christopher, do you remember Elijah came to the Zarephath widow's house, and the prophet told her that, give me some water. She did. And then she said that, make me a bread. And what does the widow says? What did the widow respond?
I only have enough to make one more last cake for me and my son.
Yeah, and then, yeah, very good. Thank you, Christopher. And then the prophet replied, what did he reply?
I forgot.
He said that, make me a bread first. 先给我做一块饼. Right? That's very interesting. I mean, he knows that the flour and oil was only a little, but he said that, make me a bread first. And then God will use, will make the little flour and little oil continuously be there, and it can feed you in the time of famine. But the concept is that make me a bread first. Let's think about another story. Christopher, do you remember in John chapter 20 or 21? I think it's 21. Jesus blessed Peter and the rest of 5. I think totally 7 or 6, right? And then after they catch 153 fish, what did Jesus say to them?
Tend my sheep. Well, he asked him if he loved him.
Yeah, he loved him. And of course, when they catch the fish, Jesus was cooking breakfast, right? Before that, before he said, feed my sheep, before you said, do you love me? And the first thing when Jesus was cooking the breakfast for them, and Jesus saw them catch 153, there's a very interesting sentence he said before he said, come and eat. What is that sentence he said? Before he said, come and eat the breakfast. You want to find a friend to help you?
Is it, children, have you any food?
Yeah, that's very good. But after that, when the fish was caught, after that, yeah.
Bring some of the fish which you just just caught.
Thank you very much. Bring me some, right? Jesus was asking, you got your fish. First thing you need to do is what? Bring me some. Don't wait until like everybody finishes breakfast. This fish, the breakfast that was prepared by Jesus. I give you some bread. Jesus brought some bread with him, brought some fish with him, and it was on call, right? Make sure it was warm bread, cooked fish, yeah, no sashimi, yeah. And then before like everybody eat together, bring me some, let me cook some of yours too, right? So what do we learn? In terms of offering, right? We shall not learn from Corinthian church. You like need to do this after 1 year. Come on, 干脆一点嘛. If you want to do it, right? Why do you want to delay this work, right? Why you are not so 干脆, right? 不干脆. Christopher, do you know what is 干脆?
But you can ask Brother Shan Shay because he's good at Chinese.
Okay, Sean, what is 干脆? Sean.
Just decisive.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because I'm struggling with the English term too. Thank you. Yeah, you make decision. Why are you so 不干脆? You are not decisive, right? So we learned the concept. You know, I remember when I was was a foreign student, I was so poor. I had some part-time jobs I supposed to offer, but I was so poor. I told Jesus, right? Please allow me to offer my tithe later on because I really needed this money, right? And then guess what? I had a car accident. Not accident. My car got broken down. I remember my car tire was in some trouble, and I went to a garage to fix it. Car garage to have it fixed. Guess what? The money I spent was exactly the amount of my tithing. Then I started to realize, oh, God do not want me to delay. Okay, so if we learn this, we should not learn from Corinthian church. Delay for one year already. I'm sorry to keep asking you, Christopher, but because you're on this topic. Christopher, and how did Paul guarantee them to offer on time or do not delay anymore? How did Paul do to make sure they don't delay? Christopher, I'm sorry to ask you again, but would you please answer?
He said, lest some Macedonians come with me and find you unprepared.
Yeah, he sent some brothers to come over to help them, right? So what do we learn from this? I learned that if you are very you have determination. For example, many young men's determination is that I want to keep myself holy. But a lot of time you have trouble doing it alone by yourself. Really, you got to find some friends to help you to keep your promise. Yeah, a lot of time, really, two is better than one. 三股合成的绳子不会断掉。Sean, interpret.
Yeah, 3/4 quarter is not easily broken.
Thank you, right? 3-4 chords. I don't know if you have any spiritual friends and you want to make sure that he knows your heart and you can open to one another and strive on the journey of kingdom of God together. I think a spiritual friend is so critical. My family, I think I have some, usually if your children can speak your hearts to the parent, oh, I'm sorry, if you can speak your heart to your parents, actually, your parents are very lucky parents because you share what is inside your heart. But usually a lot of kids cannot do that. Counselor, can you give me a survey? Write down, yes, I can share my heart with my parents. Or give them two choice. One is yes, the other is no. I just want to know how many lucky parents in among this class. And I know that I am not as lucky. Sometimes my kids will share their issues with me, sometimes, or maybe a lot of times they don't. But I really appreciate that they all have spiritual friends, even till this day, right? Even till this day, they still keep in touch or even pray together with their spiritual friends. And I'm very thankful to the Lord that the Lord arranged spiritual friends to them. Therefore, they are still kept in the love of God. Brethren, even as powerful as Elijah, when he was alone, he's seeking for death. He wanted to die. He said to the Lord, I'm not any better than my forefather. Lord, I want to die, right? Of course, the Lord do not give him death. The Lord give him food. The Lord give him drink. Actually from angels, right? And not only once, but twice, right? And then he was with power, and then he can run to the mountain of God. So what do we learn? You could be like Elijah. You are a very powerful worker, but sometimes you will be down. You will be weak. At that time, really, if you have a spiritual friend, it makes a lot of difference. Like Daniel had 3 friends in a very critical moments. Those friends can pray together, and God give them miracle. So Paul want to make sure this missionary of offering is done. Therefore, they give him friends. Yeah. Wow, your parents are lucky, 42%. Man, I hope I have kids just like you. Thank you. Thank you for the answer. Yeah. So that's the chapter 9, verse 1 to 5. Now let's talk about some concepts of offering. 2 concepts concerning Paul was trying to offer 2 concepts offering. Number one is that it's really for your personal benefit, for your own benefits. The more you offer, the more you receive from the Lord. It's just like planting seeds. The more seeds you plant, the more harvest you are going to have. This first concept. Number 2 concept, Paul has been repeated many, many times already, but he mentioned it again. God loves a cheerful giver. Jocelyn, please read chapter 9, verse 6. Chapter 9, verse 6, Jocelyn.
Chapter 9, verse 6. But this I say, he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully.
Verse 7.
Verse 7. So let each one give as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver.
God loves a cheerful giver. I cannot emphasize enough that please don't feel reluctant. If you are reluctant, forget about it, right? But there are very wonderful 2 truths over here, right? I really enjoy reading the first one. It was like planting, sowing the seeds. The more you give, the more you will receive from the Lord. This is the secret of receiving blessing on earth, my brethren. I truly believe the promise of God. And I personally have some experience in my life. I am around 60 years old. I am a full-time worker. Just like Paul says, as if I have nothing, but I have everything. As if I empty myself, make myself poor for the Lord, but my poor make many people rich. I remember there was a brother says, there are two very important things a member can do to receive earthly blessing. We're talking about earthly, okay? Earthly blessing from God. And you ever heard this since you are young. Number one is keep Sabbath day, truly honor the Sabbath day. Okay? Number two is donation. Some people do not only tithing, thanksgiving, offering. And you shall experience this, how God take care of your life. I want to say this to glorify the name of God, not to the Lord forgive me if I have any hearts of boasting. I shall not, because really it is wonderful grace of God. It is all God's work. It's not me at all. I remember second year when I came to USA, I was a student, very, very poor students. I have nothing, right? I dare not even. I really like to go to hamburger. I like to go to Burger King for a hamburger, but because of my financial situation, I paid through that stores. No matter McDonald's, Burger King, I smelled the wonderful smelling. I was drooling, but I dare not to enter into it because of my financial situation, right? I just want to tell you how poor I was at that time. But I joined one of I traveled to Garden Grove because there was special seminars, and the church sent me over there. I believe even Queen's Church at that time sponsored my flight over there, I believe. And I was so touched by the message. The prayer was so wonderful at that time. As a person alone in USA, you really want God badly, right? You want to hold on God with all your heart, with all your strength, right? That's why I was so into that seminar. And at the end of seminar, I believe we have Holy Communion. And I was so moved in the Holy Communion. After Holy Communion, they were announced for donation, right? And I have nothing to donate, but I was so moved by the love of God. Therefore, I take out that ring from my finger and put it in the offering box. The ring that my mom gave me after when I come to USA, it says that when you have nothing to eat, at least you got a ring, you can go to some stores to exchange for money. But I was so touched. I put that ring in the offering box. And later I realized that in my financial life, I always experienced some amazing stories. Some of you have heard my testimony. $1 for a car. Rent, I was able to find rent control like maybe $50. I don't remember the money for apartment or something, or $200 for apartment. In my life, I have a lot of testimony concerning financial blessing. And I bet it was because that little hearts of offering, thanksgiving, that moving, that love God poured into my heart to pay something back to Him. And that golden ring was a little seed that produced hundredfold in my life. So the more you give, the more will be given to you. It's like a planting seed. And in my missionary, I am a full-time preacher. I also observe a very strange phenomena. For some reason, for example, when it comes to helping church, buying a church, and if certain brother knows, I mentioned this brother, he is now living in the USA, right? When he received the news, he always like to tell pastor, I have 20,000, please give for this project. And then he heard another news, he keeps saying that, pastor, I have another 20,000. Please help me to give to this church. And the third time is the same. The same person. I'm telling you, it is not tithing. It is from Thanksgiving offering. Then I punch my head. 抓我的头. I start to wonder, how come always him? How come always him? You know that you can only offer according to what you have, right? You cannot offer, you can offer according to what you do not have. And this person had this heart to love the Lord, and the Lord give him more to manage his money. Again, this is what I observed in my missionary, and I figure it was very interesting, right? Very interesting observation. Of course, I also heard a brother, he said that, preacher, I hear your testimony, and when our local church trying to purchase a new building, I offered, of course, he just got his job. Oh no, actually it was a student. If I remember correctly, he says that I offered 2/3 of my saving, but I still cannot get my job. I was still in poverty situation. How come your word did not come true? And I don't know what to say, right? I don't know what to say. But that was after his graduation. A few months after his graduation. Later on, when I ran into him, he did not talk about this anymore. And of course, I did not dig into his personal story. But I noticed that I'm aware that he is okay. He's good. He found a job. But again, maybe you don't experience it, but I really, due to my personal faith, I hold on chapter 6 and verse 6. I believe, I hold on, when I say I hold on, I believe in verse 6 and verse 7. Yeah. This is the concept of offering. It is for your own benefits. And the results of offering, what is results? God is able to bless you abundantly. This is the results, blessing, right? And this blessing refers to physical and spiritual, right? And then many things will be given to God because people saw your hearts. People, if people are aware of your heart, that is so hot, H-O-T, your heart, H-E-R-T, is so hot, H-O-T. People will be really moved and they will give thanks to God. And guess what? And the church will be united as one through this type of offering, right? So there are 3 results. Number 1, you can obtain your blessings. Number 2, many thanks will be given to God. Number 3, church can be united as one. Let's read, I think it is Sean's turn. Sean, would you please read chapter 9, verse 8 and 9? I'm sorry, chapter 9, verse 9 and 10 and 11. 9, 10, 11. Sean.
Yes. Okay. 9. As it is written, he has dispersed abroad, he has given to the poor, his righteousness endures forever. 10. Now may he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food supply and multiply the seed you have sown and increase the fruits of your righteousness. 11. While you are enriched in everything for all liberality, which causes thanksgiving through us to God.
Yeah, actually, verse 11, I really want you to read about 叫你们凡事富足. Sean, what did he say in English? 叫你们凡事富足.
While you are enriched in everything.
Thank you, Sean. So you can see that verse 9 talk about 你的仁义, your righteousnesses will remain forever. And verse 10 talk about physical blessing. God will increase your seeds. You sow the seeds, God will give you more seeds to sow. Because God is the seeds giver. He gives the seeds. Now you sow your seeds. Now you harvest even more seeds. God will give even more seeds. And then your spiritual blessing, God will, your righteousness will endure forever. And you enlarge your fruit of righteousness. Enlarge the harvest of your righteousnesses. This is spiritual blessings, right? So really, offering is really wonderful. And Sean, just read verse 11. Many thanks will be given. 借着我们使感谢归于神。Through us, through many people who offer, many thanks will be given to God. Sean, verse 12. Sean 12, verse 12.
Yes. 12. For the administration of this service not only supplies the needs of the saints, but also is abounding through many thanksgivings to God.
Yes, many people will give thanksgiving to God. I remember when Brooklyn was buying the first chapel. Actually, Brooklyn was buying the second chapel. We just signed a contract yesterday. Why do we need to buy second chapel? Because it happened to be next door. And we realized that the church members are increasing. And it's not enough to hold the church member anymore. Like we have, the property in Brooklyn is really expensive. In New York City, it's so expensive. We spent 1.6 million to buy a chapel that can hold about, I think can squeeze about maybe 100 or less than 100%. But we are talking about other spaces, right? And now the neighboring is selling, and the member think that is good. So we just signed the contract. My point is that when we purchased the first building, right? Guess what? Brooklyn members, they are all newly immigrant. Their income are not too much. But when people try to count all the cash, to live in New York City, a lot of time you try to use credit card. Some stores do not even take credit card, especially restaurants, right? I don't know. It's so different. I mean, I live in California, I live in other places, but New York City is really different in its culture. Anyway, my point is that when the church treasurers try to count the money, guess what? The offering box is full of cash. And some of them are $1 cash because they are doing a food delivery, they earn tips, not because they want to give trouble to the church, but this is what they have, right? And can you imagine the offering box is full of cash? The treasurer says that 数钱数到手酸了. They count the money until their fingers are tiresome. And sometimes 一边点一边哭啊. They shed tears while they are counting the money. Why? Because they are so moved. Even though people are so poor, yet they are a cheerful giver. And therefore, many things, when I share in my sermon, I think when I share this with you, I bet maybe some of you, your heart, the chord of your heart was playing, right? You are touched by those poor people's offering. So the more touching story we hear, more thanksgiving will be given to God, right? This result offering. Not only people receive blessing physically or spiritually, many thanksgiving will be given, and then church can be as one, united as one. Maybe we change another one. Aris, all right. Please read verse 14 and 15.
Aris no longer participate in the...
Aris is not there. Monica from Irvine.
Verse 14, and by their prayer for you who long for you because of the exceeding grace of God in you. 15, thanks be to God for his indescribable gift.
Yeah. Can you read verse 14 again?
And by their prayer for you who long for you because of the exceeding grace of God in you.
Yeah. their prayer, they long for you, and they miss you because of prayer. So you can see that by this missionary offering, like people start to think about one another in their prayer, right? They are in my hearts. They are in your hearts, and then the church can be united as one, right? Now, for example, Brooklyn Church buying a chapel. Do you know that they are about 200 envelopes that the financial affairs do not know where to send to? Meaning that this money, now local church people, when they offer, usually they offer cash. This 200 envelope have to do with offering from outside who need receipt from the church. So there are more than 200 families giving their financial help to Brooklyn Church. When you think about this, so we can think about TCAC in the United States or in the whole world, we are really one. And Brooklyn Church member can feel like, yeah, we are one family financially, right? Now we conclude chapter 8 and chapter 9. These two chapters is very rare two chapters that talk about offering in the Bible. In the Bible, usually you find in the book of Malachi, talk about offering. And then Paul talk about offering as missionary in these two chapters. And I hope our young men, especially in the United States, you have the right concept of offering and hold on this promise. Do you know the United States pastors in, maybe I should not say pastor, GA, in among the whole world, right? USAGA give the pastor the most salaries compared with the other country's pastor. Why USAGA has this kind of concept and was able to do that, to pay more than, compared with UK, Taiwan, the past, of course, relatively compared with the society salary, we cannot compare, but it's only right? It's only right because we want to make sure everybody come into this missionary. It's not for money. It's because of the love of God. But USA members, especially the NCC delegates, meaning that you, maybe in the future, you will join the NCC delegate. They are so generous. They feel like, yes, we can afford it. We want to take good care of full-time workers' life. We can offer enough. That's why financially, USA members, we are financially okay compared to the other country. Well, you may say that, because USA by definition, we are a strong country financially. You may say that. But even though we may financially powerful as a country, member may be stingy to offer. But I'm telling you, the members in USA, they are not stingy. As a matter of fact, I can see a lot of people are very, very generous. And you can see that God also, you can also see God's blessing on them. So just in case, right, we talk about you should live for God. Some people will become full-time worker. Some people will not become full-time worker. But doesn't matter. Everybody can still live for God in this way or in that way, right? Even if you work in a society, you also can support the kingdom of God financially. Now, when you come to this country, I am really admire people like Warren Buffett or Bill Gates. They try to promote a concept. Actually, not only them do it themselves, they try to urge all the billionaires to contribute back to the society. So you look at how much they offer. Of course, they may not offer to the church, but I think the spirit of donation is really wonderful. It's really wonderful. But for us, our heart is in the church. Our heart is the business of God's kingdom, right? So God is always first. Now, one day, if God bless you to become a millionaire, I think your priority really, God is first, your family, relative second, and then society. If you have other strengths, you like some of our member in Taiwan, they run orphanage, 孤儿院, right? They run a senior home, not for benefit purposes, but for charity purpose. Now, if God one day bless you, I think it's only meaningful to put your money to use and in good use, right? A lot of Chinese or Oriental or even Jewish people, their concept is that, I don't know, maybe in the old days, right? Like Abraham, they all leave what they have. Of course, at that time, Abraham also offered tithes to Jesus anyway. But I'm saying that a lot of Oriental people, they have a concept to give all their money to their children. But since we are in this society, I think we should improve our concept. We should pile up our treasure in heaven. So when you are giving your will, maybe you want to think about God's kingdom also. Now we conclude chapter 8 and chapter 9. Now chapter 10 to 13 is defense. Any questions so far? Maybe let's share homework because I only have 2 minutes left. What is your breaking down of defense? Let's have Grace. Yeah. How do you break down of defense? Post defense in chapter 10 and from chapter 10 to chapter 13, your homework. Grace, you want to share?
I didn't finish the homework yet, so I didn't take a look at it.
Oh, okay. Do you want to call someone? We only 1 minute left. Call one person to answer this homework. Or I will give you a hard time, right? Because people do not want you to call their name. Okay, let me see. Maybe Sophia. Sophia, did you do this homework yet?
No, not yet.
How about Timothy from Houston? I'm calling Houston now. Timothy, did you do that homework yet?
No, I have not. Wait, was it the first day homework or the? I haven't gotten a chance to look at the homework for today.
The homework is you should break down the structure of. Remember, I talked about from chapter 10 to chapter 13 have to do with self-defense, right? Chapter 8 and 9 is offering. Now I want you to do a homework of
Okay.
Detailed structure. If you not want to do it, that's fine. Did you do it yet?
I have not.
Okay, that's
sorry.
fine. It's okay, don't worry. Yeah, because I did not say when you should hand it anyway. Anyway, maybe I will give you my homework. Next section at the beginning. Let's pray in silence. Thank God. So we will talk about chapter 10 to chapter 13 concerning Paul's defense. I just checked with counselor. He says that you guys received my slides. Actually, if you read my slides carefully, the structure is embedded over there. A detailed structure is embedded over there. So I'd like to go through maybe since last one was Timothy. Timothy, did you have the slides with you? My slides. I mean the slides.
Yes, I have the slides.
Did you would you please flip to which page is this? The page of
is it 28?
Okay,
Slide
it's
number
so
28.
the Paul's defense for his missionary, chapter 10 to 13, right?
Yes.
And can you read the title? One.
One, authority is for edification, not for destruction.
Okay, to me, this is my first detailed structure. So from verse 10 to 11. Remember, self-defense, it have to do with, post-defense have to do with all those quote-unquote super apostle. 大使徒啊. Of course, this is a very sarcastic way of saying it, right? Those are actually false apostle. Like Paul says, Satan can pretend that he is angel of light. So Church of Corinthians also give them authority, right? Actually, if you read it later, Paul was saying that, you allow them to swallow you, you allow them to hit you on your face, you allow them to take any bad from you, forgive us that we cannot do the same thing to you, right? Again, it's quite a sarcastic way when you talk about this, right? So first thing he was talking about, what is authority? I mean, you give those super apostle authority, false apostle authority, but what is real authority? Authority is for edification, not for destruction. But what does these people do? You really carefully to know them. They are not leading you to the right way, right? So that's the first thing you do. Of course, in verse 1 to verse 10, you talk about how did they edify? The edification is what? Pull down strongholds, cast down arguments, and every high things that exalt itself against the knowledge of God. Meaning that, how do you edify? We make sure we bring the soul of people to the submit to the obedience of Christ. Everybody can be submissive to Christ. That is how we edify people, right? We edify people by our attitude. We are very gentle and lowly. Yeah. Sometimes we are timid. Sometimes we are bold. Yeah. But we try to edify people, no matter we are bold or we're timid. So verse 1 to verse 10 is talk about the authority is for edification, is not for destruction. Next page, Timothy. Read number 1 again. Next page, on your slides.
All right,
Timothy.
so number 1 on the next slide. Not he who commends himself is approved, but whom the Lord commends.
This is verse 12 to verse 18, right? So in this paragraph, Paul trying to say that now the false prophet, the super apostle, they commend themselves, they measure by themselves. This is not going to work, right? This is not wise. Anyone who commend himself cannot be approved by Jesus. Only God commend a person, only counts. And Corinthian people, look at those people. They commend themselves, they measure themselves, they boast of themselves. And we do not do that. Our boast is about, we do not boast about the work done by other people, right? We do not boast beyond our proper limits. Those guys, they boast about this church, but this church is not built up by them, right? So again, he talked about compare their comments themselves, and Paul do not even compare themselves, commend themselves, right? This is the second paragraph that I come with. Next slide, Timothy, what is the first sentence?
First sentence, bear with me in a little folly.
Actually, you want to combine with next slides. Read next slides. It's easier for you to remember. Next slides.
The next slide, all right. Reluctant boasting.
Yes. Oh, this has to do with chapter 11. You may say only use one word to describe chapter 11. Boasting, really, it's about boasting. But I divide it into 2 parts of boasting, right? Anyway, it's by the contents. First boasting, actually, Paul was saying that I'm not any worse than you, super apostle. You think my letter is bad, my letter is heavy, and my countenance is not looking good, and you don't think I'm a handsome person, but I'm telling you, my knowledge is not any worse than you. My knowledge is good. I have knowledge, right? And another boasting is that I preach without charge. Of course, those guys, Paul will keep preaching without charge from Corinthian church, so that those guys do not have a chance to even have opportunity to compare with Paul. That's what Paul wants. So this one boasting, one aspect of boasting. The following boasting really, Paul talk about his status, his suffering, his stress. Some of his encountering that he did in the kingdom of God. So Paul was trying to say that if you can boast, if you labor, I labor more. That's chapter 11. Let's go to chapter 12. The following slides of chapter 11, Timothy. Chapter 12, 1 to 13.
Okay, chapter 12, 1 to 13. Visions and revelations of the Lord.
Okay, because chapter 12, Paul was trying to say that to prove to be apostle, one of the things is that you need to have visions and wonders. Okay, and mighty work of God, of course, and many perseverance, right? That is one of the key verses in chapter 12. Then Paul started to talk about his visions in the third heavens and his revelations after he got a throne. So major content of chapter 12 actually is third heaven and throne. What does third heaven do? It's a vision. This is the proof of my apostleship. I saw vision and I have revelation through my throne, right? Basically, this is the major content of chapter 12. Chapter 13, next slides. Timothy?
For 13 or for 12, 14?
12, 14 to 13, 1. Actually, they talk about the same thing. That's why I say.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, I come to you for the third time.
Yes. Then Paul mentioned about, of course, this may not fit into his defense, but anyway, but from the beginning to the end, it's really about defense, right? Now he talked about he want to go there the third time, and he will be like a father visiting his children, and he was scared for three things, and then he will not spare the sinners when he come the third time. He will really exercise his authority. And then last slides. Timothy?
To rebuke the sinner, to edify those who repent, final encouragement.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the title. It's exercise his authority, right? Including these 3 points. I did not even give you verse. I'm sorry about it. But again, it talk about my exercise, my stewardship, my authority is for edification and it's not for destruction. This is to echo the beginning of chapter 11. This is my homework. This is how I do it. You can do it differently if you have other inspiration. No, that's fine. But as long as you can share, almost every point have to do with defense. But maybe some of them will be a little bit different. But it's fine as long as the major points. So, Brendan, I give you the slides not earlier because I do not want you to read them when I was speaking. But now you finish it. I hope you spend time to compare your notes with my notes, and then I hope you learn something about it, right? All right, let's come back to chapter 13. But chapter 13, his defense. His defense. I'm sorry, chapter 10. Chapter 10. So we have Grace from Irvine. Grace from Irvine. Would you please read chapter 10, verse 8? Chapter 10, verse 8.
Verse 8, for even if I should boast somewhat more about our authority, which the Lord gave us for edification and not for your destruction, I shall not be ashamed. Yeah, the authority that God given to us is not for destruction, but for edification. So then he also want to do a little bit boasting. Yeah. Why he want to do a little bit boasting? Verse 2. Grace.
Verse 2, but I beg you that when I am present, I may not be bold with that confidence by which I intend to be bold against some who think of us as if we walked according to the flesh. Okay, so some people think
Are you reading verse 2? I'm sorry. Are you reading verse 2?
What chapter?
Chapter 10,
Yeah.
verse 2 and 3.
Verse 3, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh.
Yeah. Because some people think that Paul was walking by flesh, verse 2, right? My translation, verse 2. So you got to be brave to deal with those type of people. And he's brave, including later on, he's going to do a little bit boasting. Even though we live walk in the blood, but we do not fight in the blood. But treat us a little bit fully later on. I want to do a little bit boasting. But again, we talk about, he says that authority is for edification. So how did he edify members? Grace, verse 1.
Verse 1, now I, Paul, myself, am pleading with you by the meekness and gentleness of Christ, who in presence am lowly among you, but being absent am bold toward you.
So you can see here mentioned he was lowly, he was tender. So to edify a person, a worker need to serve like a servant, meek and lowly and gentle, right? And sometimes when we are not with you, we are bold, but we are with you, we are timid. So sometimes we use different kind of, we use a way that you can accept us, try to help you, try to edify you. So sometimes we are bold because you are able to accept us, but sometimes you are a little bit fussy, and really, when I'm with you because you are not repented yet, therefore I'm a little bit timid. I really hope that you did not crush by my words, by my previous words. So this is the way to edify member, right? And the goal for edification, verse 5. Verse 5, Grace.
5, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ.
So we want to edify people. How do? We tear down all the stronghold, the obstacles, cast down all the arguments, and every high things. People think that it is very wonderful knowledge. Every high things that is against God's knowledge, we are going to put it down. We are going to cast it down, and bring every thought, every philosophy, every tiding into captivity to the obedience of God, so that Paul can explain the gospel in a way that he can win over people with arguments, with anything high, meaning that they are proud of their knowledge, but which is against the knowledge of God. Paul can use his authority to bring them under the obedience of God. This is how he edified people, right? He even his authority can punish people. Grace, read chapter 10, verse 6.
Verse 6, and being ready to punish all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled.
When most of the people are obedient, right? When most of the people are obedient, can understand my heart, the reason why I chastise those unlawful. You see the same thing I see. Those super apostle is not really helping you. When all of you can understand this, I am going to exercise. I'm prepared to punish those who are disobedient. So he talked about how he wants to exercise his authority, and it is for edification, not for destruction, right? One thing after I read this, it made me remind of one of your Q&A question. I think it was long, lengthy questions. And those questions looks like this brother or this sister, he is familiar with methodology, psychology and stuff, right? And And he, of course, I don't believe he tried to challenge, or he's already he did not believe in Jesus. No, I think he has. After you receive a lot of education and you have a lot of understanding of psychology, maybe people start to think about religion is also believing God is like 自我催眠啊，是一种催眠的过程。How do you say 催眠 ？Sham
Brainwash.
brainwash. Okay, I think there's a special term for this. Hyper something. Anyone else? Like make you fall asleep or make you lose your
Hypnosis.
I don't know. Huh?
You said make fall asleep. I thought of the word hypnosis. But that's probably not right.
To hypnotize someone, yeah. So hypnosis, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but I think those apply to this verse. This is something that exhausts itself. Some knowledge, some arguments. I think those questions is really good for Paul to answer. Paul was able to convince you. So to me, of course, those questions could be very difficult for preacher to answer in class. I would suggest this brother or this sister to go to a preacher with similar background and try to ask them to give you a personal consultation. But one of the questions was asking that is it possible that Bible could be just like one of the myth, like Greek myth methodology, Greek myth. For example, a lot of Greek myth also talk about names similar to Adam and Eve, or name similar to Noah. So probably Bible is only part of the myth, right? But according to my understanding, how to answer this question, my personal answering for this question is that if you compare all the Greek myths and those arguments, those high things that exalt itself, that people, they are very different from the Bible. Number one, you cannot put all the mix. You understand Bible is 66 books combined with one, and they have the same theme. Their concept is not conflict with one another. And I bet you cannot combine all the Greek methodology, or all the books of Greek methodology, combine them together without conflict. I think. I do not know details, but I think it's impossible to put all different type of thoughts with the same theme, coherent theme together. And Bible's purpose, 圣经是神所默示的，要教训、督责、使人学义。So the purpose of the Bible is inspired by God for the purpose of instruction to do what is right, to learn what is righteousness is. But if you look at all the Greek methodology, those stories, I think they are mainly for entertainment, like Harry Potter type of story, a lot of fiction inside. But you read the Bible, I mean, if we talk about Genesis, before chapter 8, of course, they are all legend, meaning that you cannot find human written words to talk about those stories, right? They are beyond humans' culture. They are in the before chapter 8, concerning the flood, concerning the creation, concerning the who are the father of musics, the father of industries. Human civilization did not cover that far. But actually, there are those type of recording, because all human beings are from same hand and effort, from 3 sons of Noah. You know, maybe some Greek methodology talk about Adam and Eve. I'm telling you, even like Chinese legend also talk about Noah. In Chinese, we call it Niwa, similar pronunciation, Niwa, Noah, Niwa Bu Tian. No, sorry, Chinese legend talking about there was a guy called Niwa, and he tried to, the sky was leaking. He tried to pave the sky, Bu Tian Na, there was a sky leaking, he tried to make it not leaking. And even Chinese character, from those legends, we have a word 船 that really talk about the story of ark have 8 person. So my point is that the Bible is really different than just legend. They provide a purpose, that is to teach people how to behave. Not only that, Greek Greek books, all these myths, they do not teach you a way for salvation. The Bible, from the beginning to the end, talk about redemption, talk about blood, talk about how people can be saved, provide a very systematic way for salvation. I don't think this can be found in Greek methodology. So I urge that brother or that sister really consult with a preacher who have the similar background. And I bet, or one day you really want to come to TJC to study theology, then you can truly know the Bible better. From your question, I can see that you have a lot of high things, high arguments. That is studied by the society, right? Society, those philosophy, those psychology, they are human-centered knowledge. We human beings are very smart. We invented a lot of theory. But if you read Bible, it's God-centered message. And not only that, a lot of them really directly solve the problem of human being. That's my personal answer for your reference. But again, I hope you can approach a preacher concerning questions. Now, when you talk about Paul's defense, he started to talk about his authority and the purpose of authority. Now, I want to ask a question, or ask you a question. I mean, if people choose to disagree with you, do you need to defend for yourself? We were asking Grace. Maybe we should not trouble Grace anymore. Victoria, are you there? Victoria, Miami.
Victoria had to step out for a bit.
Okay, then Angela, Miami. Are you there? Angela, are you there?
I'm here.
Angela, do you,
Repeat your question.
if some people misunderstood you, criticize you, like Paul was misunderstood by the super apostle, or maybe he was not accepted by some member in the church. They have division, some for Apollo, maybe people for Apollo was against Paul. That assuming one day you are misunderstood, do you choose to write a letter to defend yourself? And what's the reason why you choose to defend and not to defend, or not to defend? Angela, what is the answer?
I think it depends on what I'm trying to defend. If I'm defending my own opinions, I also think it depends on who I'm trying to defend it to. Because sometimes I don't think it's worth defending my own opinions to others, but if it's trying to defend the word of God, then I think it's worth defending.
Thank you for your answer. I really like it, right? I mean, Paul spent 3 chapters to defend for himself, not because simply for him, it is for the gospel that he preached in the church. He is trying to, because a lot of concept those super apostles brought, right? It is not right. Angela, can you read chapter 11, verse 20? 20 and 21. This talk about those super apostles, right?
Verse 20, for you put up with it if one brings you into bondage, if one devours you, if one takes from you, if one exalts himself, if one strikes you on the face. 21. To our shame, I say that we were too weak for that. But in whatever anyone is bold, I speak foolishly. I am bold also.
So those super apostles, what make them to have bondage? What make them, I bet some of the super apostles really, I mean, especially in that generation, some Jewish converted Christian, they like to keep Mosaic law. they like to ask people to do circumcision, right? So when Paul tried to defend himself, actually he tried to defend the concept that you don't need to keep a lot of Mosaic law. You don't need to do circumcision. That's why he need to defend who he is, what he presents for. But again, if you remember, Angela, do you recall when Mary offered a perfume alabaster jar? Who is fussy about that jar? Who was criticized Mary? Do you remember who?
Judas?
Yes. Did Mary defend for herself?
No.
Yes. No, right? No, she did not, right? So then later on, Jesus defend for her, saying that, let her go. She was preparing for my burial. So if it is very personal, nothing to do with the church, nothing to do with the truth, I agree with Angela. You can leave them alone because eventually Jesus will defend for you. Yeah. Angela, do you remember Moses' sister? Why did she criticize Moses? Miriam, what did she? Why he blasphemy or criticize Moses? Why? Do you remember that story?
I don't quite remember.
Yeah, she married a Gentile woman, right? Remember that? And then her sister started to criticize her. Is that God also talk to us, right? Remember that story? You want to read that? Maybe we'll read that. So I don't have time. Okay, we'll skip it. Anyway, but did Moses defend himself? Angela, do you recall that story? Later on, God spit on Miriam. She became she had leprosy. Maybe yeah, it's not a familiar story to many of you. How about Grace? Do you remember that story? I only call you two people this time. Sorry.
You mean when Miriam and Aaron?
Yeah, insulted Moses. And then God appeared in the glorious light. Do you remember that story?
Kinda.
Okay. My question is that did Moses defend for himself?
No, I think
It's a number, right? Maybe let's read it. I think a lot of people was not aware of this, but, because this is my last section. Number chapter what? Number chapter 12, right? 12. Maybe Angela read. Angela, I shall not trouble Grace anymore. Chapter 12, verse 1 to 3.
Chapter 12, verse 1. Then Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. To and they said, Has the Lord indeed spoken only through Moses? Has he not spoken through us also? And the Lord heard it. 3. Now the man Moses was very humble, more than all men who were on the face of the earth.
So actually, if you read the story through, Moses did not defend himself. But later on, God defended for Moses. Verse 5 to 8, very quickly, Angela.
Verse 5. Then the Lord came down in the pillar of cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both went forward. 6. Then he said, Hear now my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, make myself known to him in a vision, and I speak to him in a dream. 7. Not so with my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house.
I think that's good enough. Thank you for your reading. So we can see that later on God defended for Moses. So brethren, again, if you are misunderstood, no, I don't think I don't think if it's okay, just let it go, let God take care of it. Vengeance is on God, let God take care of it. But if it have to do with truth, the church, because of the misunderstanding, the church has been misled by the super apostle and try to become, they will be bounded by their teaching. Now we should speak out to defend for ourselves. This is something for your reference, right? Let's continue back to 2 Corinthians chapter 10. I don't know if I can finish it, but the second paragraph have to do with people commend themselves, right? Chapter 10, shall we have Clara Tsai from Oahu? Chapter 10, verse 12.
Verse 12, for we dare not class ourselves or compare ourselves with those who commend themselves, but they, measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves, are not wise.
Yeah, those super apostles, right? They commend themselves, they measure themselves among themselves. This is not wise. Verse 18. Verse 18, Clara.
For not he who commends himself is approved, but whom the Lord commends.
Yeah. You cannot say you are good, then you are good, right? You say you are smart, then you are truly smart, right? Those who can commend it by God, only God commended counts. Those who commend it yourself don't count. And Paul was saying that, no, we don't want to compare ourselves with you, right? We don't want to compare with those who commend themselves. Yeah. Verse 13. Clara, please read.
13. We, whoever, will not boast beyond measure, but within the limits of the sphere which God appointed us, a sphere which especially includes you.
Yeah. We don't want to. We only boast according to. We only boast according to the limitation that God measured to us, which God assigned to us, right? And we don't want to compare with those people. Which verse says that we don't want to compare with those people? Let me see. Actually, verse 12, right? We do not want to put us compare with those who do this, right? Yeah, and those people, it seems like they boast about the work done by other people. Verse 15, Clara.
15. Not boasting of things beyond measure, that is, in other men's labors, but having hope that as your faith is increased, we shall be greatly enlarged by you in our sphere.
Yeah, looks like those are super apostles. They boast about other people's labor, meaning that the church was set up by Corinthians, right? But they are boasting about their work, how wonderful they did, how wonderful job they did to the church of Corinthian church. But so here talk about a concept, talk about a limit God assigned to us. That, of course, that refer to the English is what? S-P-H-E-R-E, right? How do you pronounce it, Clara? S-P-H-E-R-E? How do you pronounce that word? Sphere? Yeah, the territory. There's a concept of that. This territory, this sphere, actually refer to Corinthian church, which set up by Paul. And then Paul can boast about this work, even though it is a fully, but this is the measurement God given to Paul, right? But one day, through the effort of the Corinthian church, they measure larger than Paul's limitation can be expanded. This is what verse 15 says, right? 我们所量给我们的界限，就可以因着你们更加展开。Claire, would you please interpret for me? Actually, it was last part of verse 15. 所量给我们的界限，可以因着你们更加开展。English?
I'll just read verse 15. Not boasting of things beyond measure, that is, in other men's labors, but having hope. Wait, did you want me to read verse 15?
The later part, yeah, later part. The one that you measure to us, because of you, our territory can be expanded. How do you say that in the verse?
We shall be greatly enlarged by you in our sphere.
Yes. Yeah. So I already give you this concept. This is the concept that share over here. But again, those are super apostle try to boast, not according to their own measurement. This is not measured by God to them because the church was not set up by them. Now, another concept I want to share with you, right? Here talk about some people measure themselves, compare themselves among themselves. My question for you is that, do we need to do that? I mean, to live as a person in life, do you always like to compare yourself with your surrounding? Even your school already try to compare with you. The society already try to compare you with other people. But do you need to take efforts, always try to compare yourself with other people, using your own way? And this could have two results. Number one, you think you are better than other people. Therefore, you could become very proud of yourself. Or you think that you are not any better than anybody, you are garbage on this earth. Therefore, you feel very distressed. You feel like your life is not worth living because of comparison. Clara, what do you think about comparison? About what this super apostle did? About that is not measured to you. What do you think about comparison, Clara?
I think you should not compare yourself to others, but compare yourself to God's standards.
Very good. I like to hear that. Thank you. Very good. According to God's measure. I don't have time to answer one of the Q&A questions, but one of the Q&A questions is that, Pastor, how do I not to harm myself anymore? Something like that. How do I not to harm myself? I guess you are one of the probably 7% or 8% among those who have experienced to attempted suicide. Not only have the thoughts, you really took actions. What is it? Q&A question. Let me read what is on the chat. Q&A question submitted. How do I prevent myself from self-harm? Okay, thank you. I don't know you, but why you want to harm yourself? I guess one of the reasons is that you don't like yourself. Oh, and why don't you like yourself? You have my sympathy, but I think it may be that you think nobody loves you. Maybe you don't think you can compete in a society. The school system is not suitable for you. Therefore, everything in your life is not successful to a point that you hate yourself. Therefore, you try to hurt yourself. Brother or sister, those who ask this question, I want to ask you, what kind of standard do you use to dislike yourself? Therefore, you want to hurt yourself. A lot of time we use society standard. We use earthly standard. We use SAT score. We use how school evaluate us, society evaluate us, or society evaluate my family? You know, what type of family do I have? But again, the Bible here, we talk about comparison. No, and Clara remind us that we should use God's standard to look at us. How did God look at us? Let's read 1 Corinthians chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Verse 20. Chapter 6, sorry. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 20. Maybe I should switch to another one. Ontario Amanda Chen. Oh, that is counselor. Next one is I exhausted this one already. Maybe that stuff from the bottom. Jasmine is Spain. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 20.
Verse 20, for you were bought at a price, therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's.
You are bought by a price. Jesus purchased you with great price. My translation said 重价, high price. So you are very valuable in the eyes of God. Please read 1 John chapter 3, verse 1 to 2. Jasmine. 1 John chapter 3, verse 1 to 2. 3, 1 to 2. Jasmine.
1. Behold what manner of love the Father has bestowed on us, that we should be called children of God. Therefore the world does not know us, because it did not know him. Verse 2. Beloved, now we are children of God, and it has not yet been revealed what we shall be. But we know that when he is revealed, we shall be like him, for we shall
be like him. And yeah, we shall saw his true image, right? How much love he loves us, and he called us his children, and we are truly his children. Can you imagine? He is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He is even more, we are more even honorable than Bill Clinton's children, than Obama's children. We have great value in the eyes of God. And God put in the society, and the society have different value to evaluate us. But look, but we really got to look at from God's angle. Therefore, I share a story to the students. I don't know if you hear this story. There was this in a children's book. Children's book talk about there was a little man made of wood. And of course, this little man have their own wood, their own world. Of course, this is a story, right? And this little man was very short, and in his world, he cannot talk well, he cannot speak well, and he is very ugly. So people keep laughing at him. You are ugly, you are bad, you are stupid. And this little wooden man was very, very sad. Then he ran to the owner. Why do you create me like this? I'm so sad. I'm ridiculed all the time. But guess what? This maker hold him up and peel away one after another all the label that people give him. All the label of stupid, label of ugly, label of short, peel one by one away, and hold it on the bosom and say, but I love you. You are my creation. I love you. So please do not try to compare ourselves with other people, like those super apostles. Compare themselves with themselves, measure themselves among themselves. It's not wise according to the Bible over here. To me, the suicidal concept is from Satan. Because Satan wants us to hurt ourselves, right? Let's read the verse, Matthew 13, verse 39. Jasmine, please read. Matthew 13, 39.
Verse 39. The enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the angels.
Okay, the enemy sowed the seed of 稗子. 稗子, how do you tear, right? So the seeds of tear, this is not right seeds, right? Was sown by Satan. So if you have any thoughts of attempting suicide, I want to hurt myself, really, you got to cast out Satan. In the name of Jesus, I cast the thoughts out. I hope that we have the healthy and right concept from the Lord. Please do not hurt yourself anymore. I also hope that you have personal counseling to your local preacher. Somebody can be your buddy, and then can walk through this painful journey with you. A lot of time we feel like nobody understands us, but at this point of time, you need more friend that can pray for you. Now, my time is up. I can only have chance to cover up to chapter 10, but we go through the structures, right? 11 is suffering, is boasting about. But again, he says that it's foolish. You don't need to boast. Like we share about it already, but it's for the purpose of God's children. Therefore, you are boasting. You're boasting about, you even talk about your vision. It's all the purpose to prove that you are apostle, right? But from the boasting, or from his suffering, we know that how a worker can go an extra mile for his missionary, can suffer extra degree for the missionary. So really, I really admire those wonderful workers of God. May we all become those type of worker. May you have a better understanding of 2 Corinthians. Please read the slides to know the structure. All the structure is at the maybe at the first line of your slides, right? You talk about verses. You just read all the verses. That's how I divided but it's not absolute, but it helps you to understand the whole books. We conclude 2 Corinthians sharing, and the Lord bless you. Let's pray in silence.